Our first speaker today is Katie Sutton, Assistant Secretary of War for Cyber Policy. Secretary Sutton was Chief Technology Advisor at U.S. Cyber Command, as well as a professional staffer on the Senate Armed Services Committee. She received her degrees from the University of Illinois and Stanford. Secretary Sutton, we are glad to have you as our leadoff hitter.
Good afternoon. Glad to be here today, and thank you so much to Lexington Institute for hosting this and other events that they put together. I particularly enjoy coming to these events because as a former congressional staffer, I really understand the importance of being able to quickly get a lot of information so that you can help your leadership, your bosses, with understanding some of these really quickly moving issues. I'm going to be talking to you today about sort of the intersection of all three topics, AI, cyber, and IT. One of the things, just to sort of provide a little foundation, coming from the Department of War, is that technology driving how we fight America's wars and enhance our national security is not a new concept. If you look back throughout history, the innovation culture of the United States has shaped how we fight our wars, going back a long time. An example that most of you would know, that I'm going to draw some analogies to throughout my talk, is that in the 70s, the Department of Defense recognized the need that modern warfare was going to need absolute precision to be of location, to be able to execute future warfare. To solve this problem, the department invested in a constellation of satellites to create the Global Positioning System, or GPS. It's pretty hard to imagine a world without GPS today, but it wasn't created to help you get from your house to the mall, but was actually originally created as a military device. When harnessed in operations and missions, it has allowed the military to have an unmatched tactical advantage in precision strikes and logistics, paving the way for our decisive victories in the Middle East. In this way, GPS fundamentally changed how our nation protected military power. Yet, one of the things I want to bring to you today is that as these breakthrough capabilities provide a tremendous advantage to our warfighters, they also carry a dual edge. The systems that provide our warfighters these decisive advantages often become prime targets for our adversaries seeking to undermine us. We're entering a similar moment today with the AI developments that we're all seeing roll out. Once again, our private sector is delivering breakthrough, game-changing technologies that are going to change how we defend our networks and how we fight our wars in the Department of War. Our challenge is going to be to recognize the potential of these fundamental technologies, leverage them quickly, and restructure how we fight wars. Today, cyberspace has been a key warfighting domain, critical to projecting power, protecting our forces, and defending our homeland. Cyber is no longer a backdoor IT function that can be dealt with sort of when time persists and is considered low importance to mission. At the same time, our adversaries have recognized this as well, and they're conducting systematic, aggressive, and sophisticated hacking campaigns against our networks, aiming to turn our strengths into liabilities. Malicious actors that you may have heard of, like Volt Typhoon and Salt Typhoon, are not a hypothetical. They are attacking our systems every day and illustrate our adversaries' intent, capacity, and capability to leverage the cyber domain against us by conducting sophisticated operations. They're no longer conducting historical espionage or data theft. They're operating daily to exploit our vulnerabilities, steal our intellectual property, and pre-position disruptive capabilities deep in our most sensitive networks and infrastructures. And unfortunately, their behavior shifts are being magnified and amplified by the advent of artificial intelligence. AI is already acting as a powerful force multiplier to increase the speed, scale, and scope of cyberspace operations. To defend against these threats, we can no longer treat security as an afterthought. We must focus on building security and resilience into our technology from the very beginning, proactively defending the unique attack surfaces across the entire AI tech stack before our adversaries have the opportunity to exploit them. Maintaining our competitive advantage will require us to fully integrate these capabilities into all of the functions across the Department of War, and also to cultivate a culture within our community where warfighters are prepared to harness the transformational benefits of these technologies. To meet this, we're focusing on 3 clear priorities in the department. The first is we must rapidly harness these capabilities for our own cyber capabilities. In this increasingly dynamic threat environment, we must seize the initiative to integrate AI across all facets of operations to outpace our adversaries and ensure that the same technology cannot be wielded against us. In our hands, AI will accelerate our ability to detect vulnerabilities in our system and to scale our operations. In our adversaries' hands, it directly threatens our weapon systems, our logistics, and our personnel. We must continue to posture against AI-enabled adversaries by automating our military cyber defenses to enable us to detect and neutralize these threats at a speed that is no longer going to be acceptable to have an operator looking at a screen and spending hours to days figuring out what this alert was that came on the system. We must transition to operating from human speed to machine speed. To do this is going to require not only adoption of the technology, but deep cultural transformations. We can't just buy new tools and use them the same way that we have in the past. We have to overhaul how we do business and become that first mover who learns, adapts, and employs AI the fastest to achieve comparative and competitive advantage over the fast followers. AI is going to fundamentally change how we fight, requiring, in Department of War terms, new doctrine, new force composition, and new tactics, techniques, and procedure. So basically, not only is it going to change the tool that we use, it's going to change how we use the tool, who uses the tool, when we use the tool, and where we use the tool. It's more than just buying a new tool from a vendor. We're already experiencing this where we've gone from needing to buy tools, and this is something that you probably think about a lot when you meet with industry. We're no longer going from being able to buy tools on a time frame of years to needing to buy them into weeks or months at the longest. And while the private sector is driving the pace of the technology, within the government, we must drive the pace of how we adopt that and how we make sure we have the governance structures in place to be able to responsibly deploy it in a rapid fashion. Some of the types of problems we're thinking about in the department on moving quickly is how do we have autonomous cyber defense? What does that mean so that we make sure that it's defending our systems reliably but not creating new risks inside? The second thing that we are really focused on is how do we secure these new tools? As we learned from GPS, something with capabilities as powerful as AI will be in our cyber defenses are going to be a tremendous target for our adversaries. Ensuring our military's success requires that not only we do cybersecurity of the systems that they run on, but that the models, the data sets, the platforms, and the weapon systems running that AI all have to be able to withstand sophisticated cyber attacks and exploitation. AI security extends well beyond, as I mentioned, the security of just those servers and the traditional networks that they run on. A lot of the terms that you'll be hearing coming out over the next year talk about some of these new ways that we can exploit AI models. We need to think about these new attack surfaces and vulnerabilities and how we proactively go after them. Some types of concepts that you'll hear are things about adversarial machine learning. How do they learn about our behaviors? Distillation attacks. How do they learn about our models so that they can exploit them and create their own? And how do they data poison so that they make our models, which are only successful because of the data that they're trained on, if they can poison that data, then they can make our models much less reliable and effective for us as we go forward. If we can't defend against these underlying threats, or if the model itself is used against us, AI becomes a very dangerous blind spot, turning our own intelligence and automated defenses against us. Our adversaries are already exploiting AI trust. You can't go barely a day without seeing some news story about something that our adversaries used AI for. They're leveraging AI to create convincing fake identities, to bypass security measures, and gain insider access to be able to develop these exploitation. These real-world examples prove why we can't just secure the perimeter, and we can't treat AI security as an afterthought, but we're gonna have to look at the unique ways that we can exploit this new technology and make sure we're protecting against that. To build this trustworthy, resilient AI needed for the future, we must have a multi-layered approach where we assure the security of the models, the security of the agents and the people using it, and the data to enable effective human-machine teaming. It's also going to require a mindset from our partners in industry who are going to have to take on some of these responsibilities. An example of policy discussions that are going to be things that Congress is going to need to confront is, what are the guardrails? We hear the term guardrails with AI. How do we need to fundamentally think about guardrails on these technologies? And we must shift away from bolt-on security checklists to fully embracing security-first postures. The third area that we're very focused on in the department is people. Even with the best technology and the best security, maintaining our dominance in the Department of War requires that we have the elite warfighters who are AI native and are capable of executing this mission with these emerging tools. One of the things that we have been really focused on for the last year and was approved by the Secretary last fall was the Cyber Command 2.0 Force Generation Model. That is a fundamental relook and overhaul of how we bring forces into the cyber force in the Department of War. It doesn't just look at one thing of we're going to do incentive pay, or we're going to recruit slightly differently, or we're going to change this one piece of statute. It looks at how we fundamentally transform and build the warfighters we need to be successful in this highly contested domain. We're moving away from a compliance-based generalist model to one that fosters a career-long expertise. It's going to enable deep specialization that's going to allow us to gain mastery of these emerging tools like AI, and will create a dedicated pathway for our warfighters to attain true domain mastery. Success will no longer be measured by the end strength of our force. It's not just how many people we have, but it's going to be based on their ability to deliver high-impact strategic outcomes. In the past, updating traditional training curriculum to be able to train our warfighting force took years. That is not a pace that's going to be successful as we think about needing to get AI technologies. If you think about what training existed 2 years ago, it would not have included anything about frontier AI models. We're building an advanced training and education center in the Department of War that's going to change this by immediately pairing operational needs with trainings available from industry and academia to have a centralized catalog of training available for continuous on-demand access at the time and need of our forces. We also are working on bridging the operational gap between industry and our forces, making sure that we can rapidly acquire and develop these tools. In the past, we might purchase a tool and have it sit on the shelf for an amount of time because we didn't have the right policies or data to actually use it. We're going to be cutting those together by bridging the gap with industry in a new Cyber Innovation Warfare Center where we bring together operators, acquisition experts, policy advisors, and legal experts to work side by side to get mission-ready capabilities into our force. These three priorities, rapidly adopting AI, securing our AI stacks, and building our AI-enabled cyber warriors, are not just key initiatives, they're warfighting imperatives. We cannot afford a wait-and-see approach to see what our adversaries are doing and how we're going to respond. Our nation already possesses the essential ingredients for success, the world's most elite talent and an unmatched private sector innovation engine. Our challenge now is to translate those strengths into a decisive, enduring military advantage by putting aside the status quo and clearing the bureaucratic friction. we can successfully maintain our technological leadership. Together, through a unified whole-of-nation effort, we will not merely respond to the tempo of future cyber attacks, but we will shape it, define it, and secure it for generations to come. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share our perspective today.